My name is Vanessa, and I live in Chicago, Illinois. I'm 24 years old, and I work in the finance department of a mid-sized company downtown. From the outside, my life might seem like I've got it all together, a stable job, living in a decent neighborhood. But the reality is far from perfect. You see, I live with my dad, Carter, and my stepmom, Violet. Our house is small, cramped, and yet, somehow, I've ended up being the one holding it all together. Every bill that comes in, rent, utilities, groceries, it's my paycheck that keeps the lights on and a roof over our heads. Why? Because my dad spends most of his money on his gambling habits and pampering Violet. It's not like I don't love my family. I do, but there are days when the weight of responsibility feels crushing. My friends don't get it. They ask why I don't just move out or stand up for myself. What they don't understand is that I've always been the responsible one, the one who picks up the pieces when things fall apart. It's exhausting, but for a long time, I just accepted it as my role in the family. Every morning, I wake up early to head to work. I spend my day crunching numbers and balancing budgets only to come home to a house where no one seems to care about the sacrifices I'm making. And yet, I never really complained. I figured if I just kept working hard, things might eventually get better. But looking back now, I see how much I was fooling myself. I'll never forget the day my world finally tipped over. It was a Wednesday, a long, draining day at work. I remember the office was swamped with last-minute audits, and I had barely managed to leave before 8 p.m. The train ride home was slow, and all I wanted to do was collapse into my bed and recharge for the next day. But when I walked through the front door of our small house, something was off. First, there was noise, laughter, high-pitched squeals, and the unmistakable sound of children running around. Children? We didn't have kids in our house. Confused, I dropped my bag on the floor and walked further inside. The living room, which was usually cluttered with my dad's gambling magazines and Violet's shopping bags, looked like a daycare explosion. Scattered toys, half-eaten snacks, a spilled juice box on the coffee table. My chest tightened. What the hell was going on? Dad? I called out, but no one answered. I walked down the hall to my bedroom, thinking I could at least escape into my own space. But when I opened the door, I stopped dead in my tracks. My room, my sanctuary, looked like it belonged to someone else. There were toys everywhere. Plastic dinosaurs, dolls, and even a mini playset in the corner. My neatly made bed now had a small child sprawled out on it, fast asleep, clutching a stuffed animal. I didn't even know this kid, and yet here they were in my bed. What is going on here? I said aloud, my voice shaky with a mix of confusion and anger. That's when my dad appeared in the hallway, looking as casual as ever. He had the nerve to smile at me like this was all completely normal. "Oh, sweetheart, you're home," he said, like this wasn't a complete invasion of my space. "Dad, who are these kids? Why are they in my room?" I demanded, my voice rising with every word. He scratched the back of his head, as if he was trying to figure out how to explain something complicated. "They're Violet's sister's kids," he finally said. I blinked at him, utterly dumbfounded. Violet's sister. Since when does Violet's sister live here? Just then, Violet emerged from the kitchen, holding a pot like she was making herself right at home. But she wasn't alone. Behind her was a woman I didn't recognize. A tired-looking woman with messy hair and a hollow expression. "Oh, Vanessa, you're back," Violet said brightly, as if this was some happy little reunion. She gestured to the woman behind her. "This is my sister, Linda. She's going through a tough time right now, just finalized her divorce. So she and the kids will be staying here for a while." My jaw practically hit the floor. "What do you mean, staying here? We barely have enough space as it is. Where are they supposed to sleep?" Violet smiled, like she'd been waiting for that question. "Oh, they're using your room. The kids need a proper space, and your bed is perfect for them. Don't worry, you can sleep on the couch in the TV lounge." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "Excuse me, my room? I'm the one paying the bills around here. I'm the one who covers the rent. And you're telling me I have to sleep in a living room while your sister and her kids take over my space?" My dad stepped in then, holding up his hands like he was the voice of reason. "Vanessa, come on, don't make a big deal out of this. It's family. We all have to make sacrifices for family." "Sacrifices?" I almost laughed, but it wasn't funny. "I already make sacrifices, Dad. I pay for everything while you blow your money on gambling and whatever Violet wants. And now you want me to give up the one thing I have left in this house, my room? This is too much. Violet's face hardened, but my dad just sighed like I was being unreasonable. Sweetheart, you've done so much for this family. Can't you do this one thing too? Linda's in a tough spot, and we need to help her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My room, my bed, my space, just handed over without even asking me. And I was supposed to be okay with it because it was for family. My dad's words rang hollow in my ears. I looked at him, at Violet, and then at Linda, who stood there awkwardly like she knew this was wrong but wasn't about to speak up. My chest burned with anger, frustration, and a crushing weight of betrayal. I didn't say another word. Instead, I turned on my heel, went back to my room, if I could even call it that anymore, and grabbed my suitcase. I threw in as much as I could fit, grabbed my work bag, and walked back toward the front door. My dad called after me, "Vanessa, where are you going?" I stopped, my hand on the doorknob. "I'm leaving," I said firmly. "If you care so much about this family, then you can figure out how to take care of them without me. I'm done." And with that, I walked out into the night, leaving behind everything I'd worked so hard to hold together. At that moment, I didn't care where I was going. All I knew was that I couldn't stay in a house where my value only extended as far as the money I could provide. In the weeks after I left, the silence from my family was deafening. At first, I thought maybe they didn't care, or maybe they were too stubborn to admit they'd messed up. I found a small room to rent on the other side of town. Not much, but it was mine. For the first time in years, I felt a strange sense of peace. No chaos, no unpaid bills landing on my lap. No one demanding I sacrifice more. Just quiet. But that peace didn't last long. It was about a month later when my phone rang. I saw my dad's name flashing on the screen and almost didn't pick up. Part of me didn't want to hear whatever excuse or guilt trip he had ready for me, but curiosity got the better of me and I answered. "Vanessa." His voice sounded different, frantic, desperate. I leaned against the kitchen counter, bracing myself. "What do you want, Dad?" I asked, my tone flat. "Vanessa, please, you have to come back," he said, his words tumbling over each other. "We're in trouble, real trouble. The landlord is threatening to evict us. The bills are piling up, and I don't have the money to cover it. I need your help. The family needs your help." I closed my eyes and let out a slow breath. "My help?" I repeated, my voice dripping with disbelief. "You mean the same help you threw out the window when you handed my room over to people I didn't even know? The same help you took for granted every time I paid the rent so you could waste your money on gambling? That help?" "Vanessa, please," he begged. "I know I messed up, okay. I know I shouldn't have done that. But we're drowning here. We need you." His words hit a nerve, but not in a way he intended. I realized then how much I'd let his guilt manipulate me in the past. Every time he messed up, I was the one to clean it up. Every time he failed, I was the safety net. But this time was different. "No, Dad," I said, my voice steady, though my heart was pounding. "I'm not coming back." There was silence on the other end of the line. Then he sputtered. "What do you mean you're not coming back?" "Vanessa, we're family." "Family?" I let out a bitter laugh. "You don't treat me like family, Dad. You treat me like a paycheck. You've taken advantage of me for years, and I've let you because I thought I had to. But I don't. Not anymore." "Vanessa, please," he said again, his voice cracking. "I'll change. I'll stop gambling. No," I interrupted. "You made your choice when you decided I wasn't worth even having my own space in the house I was paying for. You've got Violet. You've got her sister and her kids. That's your family now. You can figure it out without me." "Vanessa, don't do this," he said, but his words felt hollow. "I already did, Dad. Goodbye." I hung up before he could say anything else and put my phone down on the counter. My hands were shaking and my chest felt heavy. But for the first time in my life, I didn't feel powerless. I had said no. For once, I had stood up for myself. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions, but mostly there was peace. A calm I hadn't felt in years. No more calls from my dad, no more walking on eggshells at home, no more pretending I could be the glue that held everything together. It felt like I was breathing for the first time in ages, and it was glorious. I spent my time doing things I'd put off for so long. I started taking evening yoga classes to clear my mind, began meeting up with friends I hadn't seen in forever, and even took a trip to the coast to visit some distant relatives. For the first time, I felt like I had control over my own life, and that sense of freedom was something I couldn't put into words. I didn't have to worry about whether someone was going to demand money from me or guilt me into doing something I didn't want to do. A few weeks into my new life, I got another call from my dad. I didn't even bother answering it. I knew what it would be: more begging, more guilt trips, more excuses, and I was done with it. I was done being the person they ran to when they messed up, done being their fallback when things got too hard. I had spent so many years sacrificing my own happiness for them, but I wasn't doing that anymore. I kept the voicemail he left though. It was a desperate message, his voice cracking as he asked, "Vanessa, please, please, I need you. We're really struggling. Please come back. We can work things out. I'll do better. Please." I deleted it the moment it ended. No more. The more I let go of the toxic pull of my family, the more I began to find my own happiness again. I realized I had been living for them, for their approval, for their needs, while my own were left behind. But now I was living for me. And for the first time, it felt good. I've since learned that cutting ties doesn't mean you don't love someone. It just means you love yourself more. I found strength in my decision, even though it was hard. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but it was also the most empowering. As I sat at the small cafe in the corner of my favorite park, sipping coffee and reading a book, I realized I was exactly where I needed to be. I was free, and I was proud of that.